The Grand Champion Red Alert, from Athila to Margarita Canil. I would like to write a book about him, but I'm afraid I don't have enough heart. By Margarita. There are many absurd stories about the first Pitbull Grand Champion from Russia. Red Alert was the first dog from Russia to obtain the ROM title. A pit bull dog breeder from Russia traveled to New York. He was looking for a male dog with a red nose. The main objective was to improve the population of Pitbull with red nose that had in Russia. That was the customer's request for this breeder. He was walking in New York when he saw a man with a Pitbull on a leash. Lovers of the Pitbull breed can easily communicate anywhere in the world. So the Russian breeder got a contact from an American breeder. The creator of America was not very well known. The dog's owner had just acquired that red-nosed puppy from that breeder. Red Alert was just over a month old. He crossed the ocean to reach Russia. Red Alert got sick, and it took him a while to recover from the trip. The first time I saw him, he was a month and a half old. He was weak, but he was very happy. He ran into my arms, getting acquainted. It was the first time I was seeing a red-nosed dog. I found it natural, a touching face with a childlike expression. Red Alert was born on August 23, 1993. Alert was loving, he would kiss the bitch before mating. And when he finished mating, he would kiss his mistress in gratitude. Once, after mating, we decided to leave the bitch together with him in the bedroom. The result was that the dog had to travel with a bruised head. I missed that bitch. By the way, all the mated dogs in our breeding generate puppies. The most frequent question is, how many matings did Red Alert do? Today I affirm that the competent matings were few. 7 or 8 years ago, the export of dogs of good pedigree was not established. The competition was so big that we didn't even have time to think about bitches with a good pedigree. People bred dogs, according to reputation, and didn't think much of pedigrees. To summarize for those interested, I know the number of bitches that Red Alert has bred. But I won't make it public. People who are in the thick of it know that I didn't belong in the commercial breeders category. They made crosses between dogs in the region, but still, some pure blood shone. An example was Nessie Luisa Nicolos, Vaska Mama, 2 dogs from Ukraine. The producers they had weren't Gameness and hard-bitten enough to become a star in the ring. Some of these dogs jumped the ring, and they produced some dogs that jumped. And of bitches, what was the demand? If only there was a good male. Time has shown that I was not wrong. Confirmation of this are a few puppies, which we can be proud of. I am amused by stories from witnesses about the Red Alert fighter. In these stories, Margarita is against it, she is closed-minded for this matter. Surprisingly, but true. I have never been a dogfight supporter. And I'm still not. I raised my dog with love. I asked him, "Boy, whose son are you?" And he climbed into my arms. It turned out that he became a fighter, and I ended up accepting that. The summer of 1993 was not easy. To save money for a puppy, elite red-nosed, a litter of Staffords was sold. For that reason, he was created on my pillow. He slept in my bed. I took care of him as best I could. From injuries, from infections. Can you imagine the scare when I was offered to test him in a fight? I declined at the same time. But the person who brought Red Alert said a phrase that decided everything. What's it like to have a Mercedes and keep it in the garage? At 10 months old, Red Alert was an active puppy. He walked other dogs on the playground. He did not react to attacks from adult dogs. He didn't run away, he didn't turn his back, and he didn't bark. He just kept silent. An opponent was found. At that time they were heavy Cubans weighing almost 40 kilograms. They occupied Moscow. Red Alert weighed about 20 pounds. I did a stupid thing. I pitted a puppy against an adult. And twice its weight. And that until then, I had no idea what weight, determination and etc. was. Many did the same, but chose not to speak. However, I already knew how to release the dog. So Red Alert went to its first combat test. He grabbed the opponent. The screams of the owners began. Everything was as it should be. The fight lasted about 17 minutes. 15 minutes into the fight, the dogs were separated for the scratch. And that was the first scratch ever, from Red Alert. It's even funny to watch a recording, in which a puppy runs to bite the white dog, huge. He grabbed the dog's neck, looked at me as if to say, "Mom, what should I do?" The dogs entered the count. The second male was not until the end of the count. I was proud. Red Alert was just happy. He had a few scratches on his muzzle, and he was swollen. But he had an expression of absolute happiness. Like an eagle that flies for the first time. Maybe you don't believe it. Sometime later, someone described to me his impression about the fifth fight of Red Alert. When the fight time passed the hour mark, the dogs were very tired. The seriously wounded opponent could not resist. Red Alert held the grip. And suddenly you stopped. I saw you talking to him. He looked like he was going to faint when he looked at you. And returned to finish off his opponent, furiously. I see you had a second of relief. You worked as partners. I've seen a lot of fights, but I hadn't seen this yet. I couldn't hold back the tears. After its first test, Red Alert needed a few stitches. But he continued in a good mood. He was happy. He ate apples and sausages, which we took. Moscow is a small city, especially for dog lovers. The Red Alert stories started over the phone. The Cuban tradition was very strong. They said that in Cuba dogs were fed with dog meat. And that the dogs were only fed sometimes. To keep them hungry, so they get angry. And the Americans' dogs, they were well fed. And that they were conformation dogs, that they didn't fight. Around 1994, these conversations began to take a toll on dogfighting. It was getting ridiculous. To the point, from a person who lived in my house for a few days. Go after a Cuban dog. After the New Year 1995, in early January, we were drawn into an incredible test fight. Batter was our Cuban opponent. At the time of the fight, he was considered a destroyer. He was an experienced dog, and a dangerous one. Against Red Alert, he failed to show even half of his talent. Red Alert surprised me, and so did the people who were watching. Everyone said that if Red Alert surpassed the first 10 minimums, he really was a fighting dog. This would transform him from a couch dog to a promising pit bull. Well, not only did he make it past 10 minutes into the fight, but at 44 minutes he won. With crushing attacks on the opponent's head, leg and chest. After treating Red Alert's wounds, I decided to analyze its pedigree. And great names that are part of his lineage, both on the maternal and paternal side. And there is Indian Bolio Ram, Patrick Tombstone Ram, Bull Boy Bob Ram, El Dos Bits Cortaro Ram. Red Alert's first official fight was 1 year and 8 months old. I prepared the dog, and I took him to fight. One day I'll tell you how I lived. I was the only woman among the pitmen. It's sad how people lack the ability to take pride in the achievements of a fellow countryman. For example, when signing the contract for the 5th fight, we seriously discussed the topic, can a woman train and put a pit bull in the ring? And the adversaries shouted, no, you can't. So I said, it's not the eggs that make the man, but the man from the egg. And it turned out that I was absolutely right. For those who don't know the history of official dogfighting, more than 100 years of official dogfighting records. There wasn't a woman who raised, trained and showed a dog in the ring, who became a great champion. And now with the Ram title. Red Alert, the first fight. It was a serious fight, with a record amount bet at the time. It attracted many people. There were so many people that there were queues of Jeeps, Mercedes, and etc. Behind them was a riot police minibus. The fight was behind the traffic police post near Krasnogorsk. Some people hid in the potato plant nearby. It wasn't funny, it was kind of embarrassing. The fight was at risk. After some time, it seems that a deal has been made with the riot police. The dogs were on fire. The opponent in this match was the famous Chuck. At the time one of the few candidates for the title of champion. The opponent dominated for 17 minutes, then lost the initiative. After 28 minutes, Red Alert was declared the winner. Thus began his path to glory. There was a brilliant career ahead of her, a brilliant life. I have not made a detailed description of all 5 fights. I didn't talk about bite force, or injuries to opponents. I believe there would be no reason, since every word can be contested. I just wanted to introduce my dog to those who didn't know him personally. I still suffer from the loss of Red Alert. He had a short life. I don't know if he would have lived longer if he hadn't fought. But one thing is certain, he was happy, he knew the taste of true victory. From the attachment and endless love of a woman. And Red Alert ended undefeated. My name is Rodolpho Luiz, and I invite everyone to enjoy the knowledge of this wonderful breed. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. God bless you all. I went